Here's something the AI hype machine won't tell you. For the last 3 years, every serious AI researcher had a private line in their head, a line that said, sure, AI can write code, pass the bar exam, beat grandmasters at chess, but real mathematics, the frontier kind, the kind where even understanding the question takes a decade of training, that's where the machine stops. That line was crossed on February 24, 2026, not by some vague benchmark, not by a leaderboard score, by a research agent called Aletheia, built by Google DeepMind that sat down with 10 unsolved, unpublished, PhD-level math problems and came back 6 days later with 6 correct proofs, autonomously. No human in the loop, no hints, no cheat sheet. And here's the part that should make you stop scrolling. The mathematician who wrote one of those problems, a problem that had been open for years, read Aletheia's proof and said, yes, that's correct. That's not a benchmark, that's a peer review. The distinction: competition versus research. Now, before we go further, let me kill a misconception that's already spreading. You've probably heard that AI beat the International Mathematical Olympiad, gold medal. Big deal. And it is impressive. But here's the thing. The IMO is a sprint on a marked track. The problems are hard, but they have known solutions. The tools exist. You just need to be clever enough to combine them under pressure. Research mathematics is something else entirely. Research math is being dropped into a foggy forest with a compass that might be broken. Sometimes only 30 people on Earth fully understand what's being asked. There may be no agreed strategy. There may not even be a solution. You can spend months chasing something that turns out to be impossible, or worse, true for reasons so obvious nobody bothered to write it down. That's the world of the FirstProof challenge, launched February 5, 2026 by 11 of the world's top mathematicians. 10 problems, all drawn from active, unpublished research, all unsolved at the time of release. The answers were encrypted and held by the authors. AI teams had 1 week. Most submissions failed completely. OpenAI's best internal model solved 5, but experts found issues with the autonomy requirement. Aletheia solved 6, cleanly, verifiably, and then, for the 4 it couldn't solve, it did something remarkable. It said nothing. Or it said no solution found. In mathematics, knowing when to stop is not weakness. It's what separates a useful tool from a hallucination machine. Inside Aletheia, the architecture of reasoning. So how does this thing actually work? Because AI solves math is a sentence that can mean almost anything. Aletheia is built on top of Gemini 3 DeepThink, Google's most advanced reasoning model as of early 2026. But the architecture on top of it is what makes it different from just asking Gemini a hard question. Think of it as a system that argues with itself on purpose. There's a generator, an aggressive idea machine that proposes strategies, makes conjectures, tries approaches that might be completely wrong and keeps moving. It doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't second-guess itself. It just fires. Then there's a verifier, a natural language critic that attacks every single step. It looks for logical cracks, checks citations, rejects anything that doesn't hold under pressure. It's not trying to be nice. It's trying to break things. These two components run in a loop: generate, attack, revise, generate again, attack again. It's not elegant, it's relentless. And crucially, Aletheia can browse the web. It can pull from archive preprints, check published theorems, verify that it's not hallucinating a citation. That's not a small detail. In advanced mathematics, a single wrong reference can corrupt an entire proof chain. DeepMind also released the full interaction logs. Every failed attempt, every dead end, every backtrack. That transparency is unusual, and it matters because it shows this isn't a magic trick, it's a process.
Let's continue with Problem 7, the moment everything changed. Problem 7 sits at the intersection of algebraic topology and differential geometry. The question, simplified, can a discrete group containing torsion elements appear as the fundamental group of a compact manifold under strict conditions on its universal cover? This is not a problem you stumble into. Aletheia proved the answer is no in 2 completely different ways. The first proof is almost rude in how direct it is. It computes a Lefschetz number tied to a torsion element, then forces that same quantity to be simultaneously non-zero and zero. The conclusion is one line: 0 equals plus or minus 1. Contradiction. Done. And it proves something stronger than asked, that no discrete group containing torsion elements can work at all in this setting. That stronger than asked move is mathematicians recognize instantly. It means the solver isn't chasing the target, it's seeing the shape behind it. The second proof uses completely different machinery, an equivariant wrap to a symmetric space with the Cartan fixed-point theorem forcing a collision on the other side. Different tools, same no. One expert said it was the first time they'd seen an AI combine deep theorems in a way that didn't feel stitched together. That word matters. Stitched together is pattern matching. What Aletheia produced looked like mathematical taste. To get there, it burned 16 times the compute budget of DeepMind's previous flagship math result. Days of dead ends, a machine that simply wouldn't stop. For centuries, mathematical progress had one bottleneck: human time and attention. Mathematicians read, guess, fail, rewrite, get stuck, take a walk, try again. Extraordinary people, but still human. They get tired, attached to wrong ideas, distracted by careers and grant deadlines. Aletheia has none of that. It has a compute budget and a clock. That's why Terence Tao, arguably the greatest living mathematician, called AI his junior co-author. Not a calculator, a co-author. And the implications compound fast. If AI can propose and verify proofs faster than humans can read them, then human review becomes the new bottleneck. That's not a math problem, it's a social and institutional one. Journals, peer review, the entire validation infrastructure of mathematics was not designed for this. Per IEEE Spectrum's February 2026 analysis, top public models now solve over 40% of frontier math's postdoctoral level problems, up from 2% 18 months ago. Epoch AI estimates full saturation within 2 years. They're already building the next benchmark because the current ones are going obsolete faster than they can be written. The power behind the proof. Here's the connection almost nobody is making. While Aletheia was burning 16 times normal compute on problem 7, Google announced a data center complex south of Minneapolis, anchored by the world's largest battery storage system, a 300-megawatt iron-air battery capable of running for 100 continuous hours. Not 4, not 8, 100, more than 4 days. The technology from Form Energy works through reversible electrochemical rusting. Not glamorous, not fast, but cheap, scalable, and weather agnostic. The full mix: 1.4 gigawatts of wind, 200 megawatts of solar, and that iron-air anchor. Why does this matter for math? Because long-horizon reasoning burns real power over real time. If AI research agents become standard lab tools, the energy infrastructure has to exist to run them continuously. Google isn't just building smarter AI, it's building the physical foundation that makes sustained AI reasoning economically viable. The math and the megawatts are the same story. So where does this leave us? Aletheia is not replacing mathematicians, not this week, but the workflow is changing. The question is no longer, can AI do research math? That question was answered on February 24, 2026. The new questions are harder. How do we verify AI proofs at scale when human review is the bottleneck? What happens to mathematical intuition when the grindwork disappears? And what does it mean for science broadly? Physics, biology, cryptography, when the same architecture that solved problem 7 gets pointed at the unsolved problems in those fields? The March 14th round of FirstProof has just wrapped up, raising the bar with even more grueling problems and tighter scrutiny. Aletheia was there, meeting the challenge head-on. We are no longer waiting for the future of mathematics. We are currently living through its most radical transformation.